in most of the cases, even colleges were not really familiar what this farm day is about, what to teach, what are they supposed to do in hospital. So I can say he was a pioneer to implement a lot of clinical pharmacy services in the various hospitals, numerous publications, and then moved to US and did his PhD, now doing his postdoctoral fellowship. So I asked him to talk about his professional journey from his own words instead of me reading his profile or getting it from LinkedIn. So he agreed for that. And more importantly, the reason we are doing this is almost on an everyday, I get some request from some student asking for guidance in career abroad. And same thing with Adil. I'm happy that we share the same questions and we keep answering same questions again and again and again. So we thought, why don't we just do a webinar, put it on YouTube so that we don't have to answer the same questions again and again. And then we can have a more focused questions also. So Adil, thank you for joining. Over to you. So I will request you to briefly talk about your professional journey, right from your students days, then as a clinical pharmacist, then moving to US, both your PhD and your current postdoc experience, and then we can talk about like career guidance abroad. And we will also be joined by Dr. Dar. Most of you know is president and co-founder of Avenida. So he'll be joining in some time. He will speak for a few minutes, uh, enlisting our services on how we are looking to help students in career abroad, and then we will have question and answer with Dr. Adil. So Adil, over to you.
Yeah. Thanks for the kind words, Karthik. You guys have been doing really great work, helping a lot of students. I've been seeing a lot of posts on LinkedIn, many successful stories. I thought this will be a great platform for sharing these kind of guidance here, so that more people can apply and get successful. I hope my webinar will be helpful for them. I'll try to share my screen here. Yeah. So are you guys able to see my presentation here?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah.
Sure.
Uh, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. I'll be briefly taking you. Yeah. I'll be briefly taking you through my journey from PharmD in Hyderabad to postdoctoral fellowship in USA. This will be followed by application process and requirements for study in USA. And at the end of my presentation, I'll take questions from you guys if you have any. 14 years ago, I joined PharmD in 2008, which was the very first batch in India. Future of PharmD was uncertain, but not my mind, as I knew I want to be a clinical pharmacist. 6 years later, it was time to graduate on June 30, 2014. And the very next day, I was working as a clinical medical writer for a reputed firm. I did not want to be a medical writer, as I already expressed my desire to work as a clinical pharmacist. However, there were not many opportunities to work as a clinical pharmacist at hospitals, since most people had no idea what PharmD is and what a clinical pharmacist can do at a hospital. I did not want to miss a single day of work experience, and so I decided to get involved in scientific writing. I had a few publications then, which surely helped me get the position. Concurrently, I was looking for clinical pharmacist positions, and finally, I found a vacancy at Apollo Health City. I wasted no time and applied for the position, faced the interview, and then received the offer. It was a tough decision for me to quit my position as medical writer, as my manager had been trying hard to convince me to stay. He believed I have every quality to be successful in the scientific writing field. Moreover, the remuneration at Apollo Health City was going to be way less than half of my pay at that time. I decided to choose my passion over money, and I have no regrets for this until today. I felt blessed to be doing practically what I had learned in 6 years during my PharmD. After working there for 2 years, I was offered a position of clinical pharmacologist in 2016 at Aster Prime Hospital. And as per my knowledge, I was the first PharmD graduate offered the position of clinical pharmacologist. I initiated a project to minimize the medication errors, and it was very successful. Although I enjoyed my work, I realized the need of research to help cure various illnesses which do not have cure. My grandfather had succumbed to lung cancer long ago, so I was more inclined towards research in pulmonology. So I wanted to be a researcher for which a PhD is required. Meanwhile, I received clinical pharmacist offers from a Bahrainian hospital, which I declined to accept. Also, most of my peers were applying for pharmacist licensure exams in Gulf countries to acquire a job there, but I did not write any such exam as I had made my mind to be a researcher. While I was looking for possible options to pursue PhD, I came across PhD in USA. I tried to inquire more about this and got to know that it's highly challenging to get an acceptance for PhD from US universities. I was still into it, but the process for applying seemed quite complicated. It also required a decent financial investment in the form of IELTS, TOEFL, GRE application fees, degree evaluation, and other miscellaneous stuff. I was in a dilemma whether to go for it or not. Then my father advised me to go ahead with the process. He was ready to bear all the expenses, and I finally applied to two universities after carefully reviewing the programs. Within a few weeks, I received interview invite from University of Georgia's PhD in Clinical and Experimental Therapeutics program. It was a 40 to 45-minute interview with three professors from the department. Fortunately, I received admission acceptance in January 2017, which is quite early compared to usual decisions given around February or March. I can't express how happy I was at that time. My father played a crucial role in my career. Until date, he is my advisor for all my career related decisions. Whatever I have achieved till date is because of my father. And of course, my family members supported me in all my ups and downs. During my time at the University of Georgia, I worked on pulmonary diseases and vascular biology. I had gone through many ups and downs that include several awards, a car crash, and many other events. I also got opportunity to contribute in the COVID-19 research. And in view of my achievements during PhD, I was fortunate enough to receive offers from renowned institutions that include Stanford University, Howard University, University of California, San Diego, and a few others. Finally, I chose Stanford University for two main reasons. The first reason is I wanted to be a part of Stanford University ever since I visited this place with my brother as one of the tourist spots in San Francisco back in 2017. Secondly, Stanford University is the most prestigious in the entire world, at least in my opinion. I'm working on pulmonary hypertension in a cardiopulmonary laboratory. Also, I'm a part of a well-known research group, Vera Moulton Wall Center. So far, I have 52 publications to my name, which were read at least 26,000 times on ResearchGate. Of these, 22 are published in PubMed Index journals. And in terms of citations, my profile stands at 219 currently, and with almost H index and ITN index 1310. And a lot of people do appreciate me for PhD in scientist designation at a world-class institution like Stanford University. But Google made me realize that I really did something extraordinary, at least extraordinary enough to earn a knowledge panel in my name. I always wondered what it takes to get on the knowledge panel. And when you have one in your name, you feel the feeling is truly amazing. At times when people request my contact details, I ask them to Google my name. And this is not only a moment of pride for me, but also a very convenient and hassle-free way of exchanging information. Let's discuss the application procedure for graduate studies in USA. No matter what university you're interested in, an application submission is for sure needed to express your desire to be a part of that particular program. Here are the requirements for an application. A decent GPA is required, which is something around 75%, if I'm not wrong. English score is mandatory requirement in almost all universities. For non-native English speakers like us, you can either opt for IELTS or TOEFL based on what universities you're applying to. While most of the universities accept TOEFL, some of these do not accept IELTS. I felt IELTS is quite easy compared to TOEFL. And if you face difficulty in scoring these exams, I suggest you to go for IELTS unless the universities you're applying to do not accept IELTS. GRE is another hurdle in the application process. I know many of my colleagues who were interested in applying to USA for further studies but did not proceed only because of this reason, which is GRE, as they felt math was not their cup of tea. Good news for you guys is GRE is no longer mandatory in many universities. Letter of recommendation plays a crucial role in your admission decision. When I applied for PhD, I paid attention to detail while preparing my SOP with a statement of purpose, but I didn't know that this document was so very important in the admission process. I got to know its importance only after serving on a selection committee. Many students do not take SOP seriously, and I believe this is the main reason for their rejection. Degree evaluation is required by some universities, which can be done via WES or ECE, or some universities prefer evaluating themselves. This can be done easily. It's just a time-taking process, but not a big deal at all. Application fees ranges from $50 to $150 in most of the universities, and research proposal is not required in many universities, but there are a few exceptions. Supervisor approval is not a mandatory requirement in most of the universities. However, if you want to apply to a university that wants a supervisor approval, then you'll have to email the professor with a well-planned short cover letter along with your CV. Unfortunately, the response rate here would be no more than 30%. That means if you email 10 professors, three professors may respond you and seven may not. This is not it. This is not all. Out of these three professors, it is highly likely that two of them will let you know that there is no requirement in their lab for a PhD student. And if you are lucky enough, one of these professors will invite you for an interview. Let's consider that you have started your preparation for applications to US universities, and here are your scores. For example, you have IELTS 7 bands, GRE 305, and which evaluation has been done. And the date when you're applying to is like December 8th. You will now generate an Excel sheet with following columns like university name, a program you're interested in applying at this university, GPA details, and IELTS, TOEFL, GRE, SOP, LOR, degree evaluation, application fee, research proposal, supervisor approval, and the deadline. So let's assume you have three universities in your mind, and you will fill these details. For the first university, you are fulfilling all requirements except GRE and deadline. So your GRE score is less than required 320, and also you are already past the deadline. In second university, they accept only TOEFL, but you have IELTS. So you would not be able to apply for this. Fortunately, you are fulfilling all the requirements under third university. You can go ahead and apply to this university. So basically, you want all greens to be eligible for that particular program. You may also add additional columns such as destination of the university, as some people are not very comfortable staying in a place with extreme weather conditions. So you can opt out places like which are in extreme conditions, like minus 20 degrees or something like that. And I'm pretty confident that this Excel sheet will ease your work and you'll avoid checking the requirements for the same university multiple times. Most of the graduate programs in our field belong to STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So these programs have an additional advantage, like these are entitled to additional work permit post course completion. And here are some common myths related to application process. Many people believe that work experience or publications are mandatory, but this is not true. Many programs accept students without work experience or publications. However, experience and publications definitely boost your chance of getting accepted and gives you an edge over other students. Try to publish at least one article before applying to these universities, and you do not need any data to publish a review article, as you must be knowing. If you are really interested in publishing a research article and you do not have data, you will have to use some research database that is openly available to public. and I can help you in that. Another common myth is professor's approval guarantees admission. So applications in most of the universities pass through the graduate school, which ensures the applicant meets the eligibility criteria. And I don't think a faculty member can select any candidate on his will. However, he can provide a supporting letter which can be submitted with the application to improve chances of acceptance. One of my senior colleagues at my current lab has established his own laboratory, and he told me the same. Every student has to go through the application process, no matter if professor likes the profile or not. I noticed that founding students in their third year to fifth year are highly motivated. However, they tend to lose the motivation by the end of time before they graduate or they reach sixth year. What I always advise to students is self competition is the key to unlock a better tomorrow. You don't need to compete with your peers, but compete with yourself to become better than what you were before. Build your profile in such a way that the recruiter or admission officer would not be able to ignore you. If you may ask me any questions, and if you have any questions later, feel free to contact me through my LinkedIn. You can either scan this code or Google my name. As I mentioned earlier, I hope this session will help you achieve your goals.
So, so thanks, Dr. Alvin. Most of the students here are looking to do their MS after PharmD. Like very few are interested in PhD. So can you suggest any courses for students to opt during for their MS program?
For master's program, I think health informatics or like bioinformatics, these kind of courses are really in high demand because these people can work in any industry or academia. For instance, in research labs like one of where I'm working right now. So there is a high demand for health informatician. They can help us analyze the data from RNA sequencing, and they can do a lot of stuff. So I think like health informatics will be really helpful. And also like regulatory affairs was like in high demand like previously, but I'm not very sure if like which one's better among the between these two. But like health informatics right now, I think it's in really like good demand.
So ultimately, it is for students to decide which masters they should be doing. But this is the most common question. So they ask me which masters should I choose and which university should I go. So and what I tell them is none of them can answer give a very specific answer to those two questions. It depends on so many factors. So many means so many. But what I have noticed, maybe Adil, you can correct me. Most of the time, students doing MS need not necessarily do a job related to their MS. At least in my network, I've seen many people doing health informatics, but most of them, again, working in clinical research, pharmacovigilance, etc., and not into core health informatics. So sometimes I feel it does not really matter which MS you choose. So you choose based on your interest, not the outdated ones, but something like health informatics, which is booming currently. And then after you go there, you will understand the situation, scenario, and you can always plan your career accordingly. So what I notice is we cannot go with a perfect plan. That is 100% I should we go with some assumption, then we notice something else, and then we adapt accordingly and become successful. So that is my take. But I will talk to more people and maybe create a list of 5 or 6 courses. And one thing, and anyways, we can say is opt for a STEM course because it gives you additional, I think maybe 1.5 year or 1 year extra compared to other courses. So we should make sure we select something which falls into that STEM category. So do you want to add other anything?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like it's like not like entirely dependent on us, like what course we want to go into, but at least we can like shortlist a few courses. Which first of all, we can shortlist a few courses which are in high demand, and among those, we can then apply and choose whatever your student is interested in. And yeah, STEM course, definitely there are like a few courses they don't fall under STEM. So this thing they should make sure if they want to work after the after studies, and then they'll definitely have to consider this thing. They'll have to opt for a course that falls under STEM, so that they'll get up to like 3 years of work permit after completing their course.
So also, can you give us some tips on how to select a university? It need not be a very specific answer, but some points to keep in mind before we try to identify which university to choose.
Yeah, so like first of all, they can appear for the IELTS or like TOEFL, whatever they are comfortable with, and then they can, if they are willing to write GRE, they should go for it, and then based on their scores, they can select what universities they want to apply. Because, for example, if someone with a GRE score of like 300 wants to apply to an Ivy League university, that doesn't make any sense. It's just a waste of money. So if your score is decent, then go for a decent university. If your score is on the lower side, go for a university which accepts a lower score. So based on your score, so mainly it all depends on your scores of GRE. Yeah, IELTS. I don't think IELTS or TOEFL scores matter a lot. You just need to like score the minimum requirement there. For example, they want something greater, greater than 7 or equal to 7. Then anything beyond 7 is fine. So if you're scoring say 7.5, 8, or 8.5, that doesn't make any difference. This is what I believe. And but GRE scores matter a lot, and yeah, based on this, they can this will definitely help them shortlist the universities.
Slightly deviating from the topic, you might be knowing Shreya, right? Do you know her?
Yeah, I heard
Shreya
about her. Yeah.
Sangamat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, actually, so she also is from our batch, and I have been in touch with her for last couple of years. We did a
Ye-
webinar also with her,
Yeah, actually,
and recently
Madhuri,
she volunteered to come forward and help. Yes, yes. So
yeah,
actually, I remember
actually,
connecting you to a lot of my students, especially the ones who wanted PhD.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, a lot of students they still contact me through LinkedIn, through WhatsApp. Yeah, they still do. And yeah, Madhuri,
Yeah. So what I was trying to
once
tell was
told me.
recently
Yeah,
Shreya volunteered. Uh, mhm.
yeah. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, this. Okay, let me finish, complete this
Yeah.
statement. So I have been in touch with her, and one of the reasons is just to connect all of you to students in India to dream big, achieve. Because whatever you have done, Shreya and many others have done, is many times people think it is not possible, and if they approach somebody, they might not get proper guidance. They might demotivate, saying this might not be the best thing to do. So that was one reason. But I kept in touch with her, and recently she volunteered, and we started a research wing. I'll share more details with you later after this call is over. So goal is to
Sure.
help students in this doing that research properly, because during your presentation you are mentioning that having a publication will definitely add value. So we are thinking to guide the students in helping them identify a research topic, what data to collect, how to analyze the data and interpret it, publish it, and if it is a really good study, we can even think of filing a patent also. So we had good response. We are filtering the responses based on how committed, how interested, how much time they can commit, etc. And at least start maybe one or two projects. And we would love to have you part of the team. And maybe once in 15 days or once in a month, whenever your time permits, you can pitch in and help these students. So I wanted to tell you this just because the topic of research came, and especially if somebody wants to go for a PhD. To all the participants earlier, he was my initial contact. Whoever wanted PhD, I used to share Adil's number. Then now I'm starting to share Madhuri, Naresh, and few other. Basically, I ask students at what stage they are. Based on that, if they are just starters, I share with Madhuri, Naresh, etc. But if they are at some advanced level, what more specific detail guidance, I share yours or actually as contact. So we are happy that we are still in touch, and because you have gone through all that journey, you are available to guide students. They don't have to definitely go through all the struggles which you might have gone through because you did not have a senior,
Yeah, I
right? And
can.
you figured everything by yourself. So can you talk little about your PhD experience? How tough or how easy it was? What did you learn? Uh, some experiences in your PhD.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for the invite. I'll be a part of that research thing. Yeah, I'll try my best to help students like publish research articles if they're interested in. I know a lot of like databases which we can use to generate data, and we can publish research articles, something like CBio portal. So people, students who do not have their own data, they can use these kind of things. So we can discuss this later. And yeah, for uh, for the yeah, for the masters thing, they can. Your last question, I think I missed it.
Yeah, just PhD experience. Your PhD
Oh yeah,
experience.
PhD experience. Yeah, so like you have like two options actually. Like when you're opting for for PhD, it can be wet lab research or it can be dry lab research. So in my case, it was a wet lab research. So because this is what I was interested in, I wanted to do basic research. So I opted for a wet lab thing, and then the most important like subjects in my program were like cell signaling. So you'll have to deal with all the like signaling pathways, which was entirely new for me. So at first I was like, what is this going on here? Like it was quite complicated, but like the more I read about it, and that was like that was like one of my favorite subjects by the end of my first year, I think. Yeah, so it was really important thing. So like whenever like a new student like joins our program, they'll be like cell signaling is like not my cup of tea. But as they read more about it, and they'll start liking it. So this was one of these. And apart from this, advanced therapeutics was there. So advanced therapeutics is more or less the same thing which we did earlier in PharmD. It was quite advanced though, and the other subjects were like research methodology, ethics, and yeah. So it wasn't like it takes time. I mean, it's not like very difficult to go through all these things, but it takes some time. Yeah, and yeah, for Shreya, I think Madhuri once introduced me to her. I mean, like she told me like she was doing a postdoctoral fellowship somewhere. So I heard from her. And there is one more guy in our lab, like Varun. So he joined I think 2 years ago, and he has a master's in health informatics. So I know, like, because of him, like, I know, like, what is the value of health informatics. So he has helped a lot in our like RNA-seq data. So I was when he joined the lab, I was in my like third year or fourth year, and then by the end of my time at the University of Georgia, he helped a lot in doing the analyzing RNA-seq data for my project. So, like, I know what a health informatician can do in a wet lab. So, apart from wet lab, they have like a lot of other things which they can do. They have potential to do a lot of other things in other fields too. So, yeah.
So Varun, is he from India or like?
Yeah, Varun is Madhuri's
So I know
classmate.
one of my juniors with same name.
Yeah, Varun Parvati, do you
Okay,
know?
okay. So I know him like very well.
Yeah,
So he
yeah,
used
I know
to,
him from Apollo also. Yeah.
yes, yes. So, okay. So long back he used to design few of our flyers. One of the conference I did in 2018 was one of the best flyers. I shared those photographs with him. So so now I think the so I will basically I get these questions almost every day, especially career abroad,
Yeah.
and there are so many consultancies, but none of them are focused on FAMD. Most of the time, students say that they go to a consultancy, and when they say we did FAMD, most of them don't have an idea on what FAMD is and what courses, etc., will be suitable for them if they want to go to US or any other country. So I'm trying to fill that gap. Earlier, I used to simply, if somebody said, I want to do a PhD, can you guide? Maybe I used to share your contact number or LinkedIn profile. And then if somebody wants to do MS, then share Bhavani or a few other students' number. So, but I thought we should take to next step and provide a proper consulting kind of a service, not just guiding them to a person in US, but helping them in every step, right from understanding them what their interests are. Based on that, help them identify right course and university, and with the documentation process because it involves a lot of paperwork. So we are happy to start that service. Around 100 odd students have expressed interest to avail that service, and we are talking to them individually and trying to address all of their doubts. So this webinar is also part of that initiative, and we will have more in future. We will have somebody from UK, Australia, Canada, and other countries also to talk to all of you. So now it is open for questions, and once Dr. Dar joins, he will explain a little more about what services we are looking to offer. But now it is open for questions. You can unmute, introduce yourself, and ask, or you can even, that will be the first priority. Let's see if nobody opens up and asks, we can ask them to put in chat box.
Sure. Yeah.
So it is open for questions now. So whoever wants to ask, just unmute, introduce yourself, and ask. So Alvin, tell me if Dr. Dar joins. So I'm not checking my WhatsApp.
Sure, sure,
Let me know if he joins. We can
sure.
stop the questions. He will talk for 10 minutes and then we can continue Q&A.
Hello, sir. Myself, Chaitanya KJ.
Hi, Jason.
I'm doing my fifth year of PharmD right now. So, I'm planning to do my master's in clinical research, sir. So, can you please explain me or say and give an insight towards the scope of that and the hierarchy of the job hierarchy in prospect of clinical research after doing masters, and also the advantage of doing masters in clinical research and entering into a job and directly entering into a clinical research job just after PharmD.
Yeah. So your question is you want if you can apply for a master's in clinical research and what is the scope of clinical research in USA. So first of all, I'll tell you something. PharmDs, I know this is a frequently asked questions by many students. So what I believe is like PharmD students they think clinical research is the only area where they can excel, not other areas. So this is not true actually. PharmD students can work beyond clinical research, something like laboratory research or something else, and a lot of things are there. But if you still are interested in clinical research, and yeah, so the thing here is clinical research, you'll be dealing with patients directly here. So when you're dealing with patients, so you'll have to be in most of, in at least some of the universities, they require a licensed pharmacist to be a part of a master's in clinical research or something like that. So I don't think many universities offer any international direct admission into the master's in clinical research. At least from the research I did previously, but right now or in the recent times, I don't think I'm not sure if they made any changes. So this thing is there, and suppose if you're done with the clinical research thing, then you'll be a part of clinical trials, like as a clinical research associate, clinical research coordinator, something like that. And also, if you want to be a part of these, if and there are other ways as well. By not just like doing masters in clinical research, but also like you can do some other research and like based on the requirements, the employer might hire you. But like, have you gone through any universities which are making you eligible for this thing, where without any license requirement?
Sir, in USA, actually, I didn't go through, but in terms of in Ireland, I just know that like what parameter you said. I think there's not that parameter is not there about this licensing thing. But in US, I completely don't know, sir. So I was just asking you.
Yeah, yeah. US, I don't think it's that easy to
So
get into
Chaitanya,
those kind of things. So it's quite complicated, the things here. Like I agree. Like in other countries like Ireland and like other countries, they're offering these kind of courses. And also, like I want to bring this thing. A lot of students they'll be like, they'll ask me, they want to do PhD in pharmacology or something like that, and they search for PhD in pharmacology, and they get a limited universities list, and they'll be like, oh, there are not a lot of universities which are offering this kind of course. So what I tell them is, don't just look for PhD in pharmacology, go for PhD in biomedical research, and then in that you'll find a lot of sub branches. For example, like a PhD in cardiovascular research, and then in that sub branch you'll find some labs working on drug targets and something like that. So it's more or less the same thing. So they don't specifically mention that PhD in pharmacology. So don't just go with the name here. So try to read about the description, and then you'll figure it out that like, oh, this is the course I was looking for.
Thank you, sir.
yeah, so Chaitanya, I can connect you to somebody working in clinical trial space. Okay.
Yes, sir, sure, sir.
And there are some messages in chat box.
Yeah, I'll go
So
through
one of the
them.
students is asking is MS in Health Informatics a STEM course. Yes, it is a STEM course. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
clinical
MS in health
research you already
informatics.
answered. So there
Yeah,
is another question. How is master? Yeah. So if you can see the chat box, you can answer those questions. Like
yeah,
Himaja
I'll
was
do that.
asking, how is masters in clinical and experimental therapy? Yeah.
Yeah, masters in public health. I know a person. I think he did his masters in public health. If I'm not wrong, he's from Venkateshwara College again, Mirza. So I think he did masters in public health, and so yeah, like after doing like a masters, you'll have two options: either to go into academia or to stay in, or to like move into industry. So academia is something like a non-profit organization, a university kind of setup, and the industry is something like pharmaceutical companies and stuff. So if you are going to academia, you will be paid slightly less than what you are going to be paid in industry. But the benefit here is post completion of your OPT and STEM OPT, I mean, like 3 years of work permit. After 3 years, you can apply for H1B. So your employer can file an H1B for you, and that H1B you don't need to go through the lottery process. As most of the engineers from India, they'll have to go through the lottery process, and it all depends on luck. So if you're not selected in the lottery, then you'll have to just finish your stuff here and go back to India. And so this is the advantage. If you're staying in academia, you can definitely get the make use of this opportunity. And if you're going into industry, you'll get paid a lot actually. Suppose if you're earning something like uh, 60K in academia per year, you will earn something like 80 or 90K in industry. But you'll have to go through all the lottery process of H1B, and then if you're not lucky enough to be there, then you'll have to go back to India soon after like 3 years of a work permit.
So thanks, Adil. Dr. Dar has joined. So Dr.
Yeah.
Dar, welcome. So Dr. Adil has just finished his talk. He shared his professional journey very briefly and also talked about a few criteria and other things. And even I just gave an overview of what Avenida is trying to do to help students who wants to go abroad. So it is over to you, Dr. Dar. And and I will request you to talk a little about your journey in US because you moved to US 30 years back, though you are not from pharmacy background. We would like to hear. And that time, I think this much awareness or information was not there. So how was your journey briefly? And you can talk about the services which we are looking to offer to our students. So over to you, Doctor. So Alvin, maybe you can connect with Dr. Dar and see. I think his name is showing up in this meeting, but I'm not sure if he can
Okay.
hear us or not.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorting that.
So to give a little, uh,
Hi, sir. Hi, sir. Sorry to interrupt. Have to ask. I have one doubt. Can I ask, sir? Myself, I'm Sai. I'm pursuing a fifth year of pharmacy from PS
yeah,
College
go
of
ahead.
Pharmacy. Sir, I am planning to go Canada or Australia. So, can you tell me that how to prepare for the exam and the best resources, which are the which are the textbooks where we can refer for PABC exam and the COP?
So do you mean okay, okay. So connect with me again. There is a different expert. Okay. So there is a girl called Rona Thomas. She recently qualified PABC, and sorry, the Australian exam. She will be moving to Australia soon, maybe in a couple of months. And she offered all possible support. Coming to PABC, we have Nimin. So as I said, we will have more sessions specific to those countries and those exams. I think they will have much better idea. Adel is into US, and once they get into PhD, so I don't think they will have time to explore PUBC and other stuff. They go through a lot of hectic schedules. So I will connect you. You can get in touch with me on my WhatsApp. I think we are connected. Uh, so we have experts in both Australia and also PABC, and people who have actually qualified those exam and practicing as a pharmacist there for last like 1 or 2 years. So we will definitely guide you in that aspect.
Thank you, Karthik sir. That will be more helpful to me.
So any more questions? Sure. Yeah.
There's a question in the chat box, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
So, which course is better, MS in clinical research or regulatory affairs? For this question, like I think if you want to do clinical research, I think USA. I'm not sure if you're eligible for a lot of courses here. So, regulatory affairs, I guess you can definitely do here, and better in terms of the job prospects. You mean maybe? So I think both of them do well actually in terms of job prospects here in US, and we should prefer 1 year full-time course or 1 year academic plus 1 year one internship course. So if you're like talking about USA, then you don't need to look for internship courses because you'll definitely get opportunity to work for like 1 year and then which can be extended to 2 more years. That'll be a lot like a total of like 3 years post completion of your studies. And which country should we prefer for MS, UK or Ireland or USA? So it all depends on you, which country you want to move to. So I think if you want to do masters in for masters, I think US is not a bad place. So you can definitely opt for US. I'm not very sure about UK or Ireland. Yeah. And the next question is, how is masters in clinical and experimental therapeutics? Yeah, so clinical and experimental therapeutics. So yeah, I did a PhD in clinical and experimental therapeutics, and a lot of people they'll be like they'll email me or they'll text me saying they want to apply for clinical and experimental therapeutics. So if you go with this particular title, clinical and experimental therapeutics. I don't think you'll find a lot of universities, like except like UGA, University of Southern California, and a couple of more, I guess, University of Toledo. So I think these are the only universities which are offering exactly what you want. But if, as I mentioned earlier, you'll have to go through all other like related programs, and you can figure it out. Hello, Dr. Kim. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Fine.
So, Alvin, why are you so scared? Did they like not treat you well still before I came?
No, I'm not scared.
So, Adil, thanks. Good to meet you. And you just live 40 miles from where I live, so we should meet up someday. Thanks for doing this for our students, and I really appreciate it. And, coming from you who has been on the journey and done it, and been there, done that, it has a different significance than us talking about it, because you are the most recent kind of Apollo 15 or whatever who landed on the moon. So it's always better to hear from. And good evening, everyone. And it's morning here. It's like 7:50 a.m. in like California. So one of the things I know Doc Karthik asked me to talk about my journey and all. I think that is not that relevant than what I would like to talk a little about, take 2 or 3 minutes about what we are offering at Avenida and what does it mean to have experts like Adil. It's the me. So Adil is your name, right? So I just want to make
Yeah.
sure that I'm not okay. And for those of you who are heading west, get ready to have your names butchered. So don't worry about that. So Adil becomes Adele, and if your name is Chetan, then you are in for a surprise. I was at a meeting like 15 years back, and we are meeting. So we are about to kind of start the meeting. I said, "You're waiting for somebody?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Who is it?" This is Shaitan. I said, "Shaitan?" Shaitan in Hindi means a devil. So here comes a guy and then sits next to me as a senior vice president or something. I said, "What's your name?" He said, "Chetan." I said, "Okay." So that is something which you'd have to get ready. And then I said towards the end of the meeting, because I was meeting all these people the first time, I said, "Guys, do you know what you call him? That is devil." So Shaitan is so. So get ready for your names. Kind of. In fact, my name like is Ashwini, and now I don't respond to that as it has become Ashwani. So I guess that's a small price to pay for what. And one of the things I want to make sure. One of the things I think from a approach to coming to West is that never think of yourself as an outsider. People don't know us or about us. Everybody's not a racist. So put yourself out there as you are going through this process of coming to West, that you are yourself and be proud of who you are. And one of the things is reach out to people like Adil and ask the questions. And no question is a dumb question, I'll tell you. But you cannot expect others to do everything for you. So that is one of the things I've noticed, that people want answers for everything. Be curious and go out, find things. And in fact, that was one of the, so to say, segues for us at Avenida to think about. I don't want to talk about what happens. People go to people, then they kind of take them for a wild ride without knowing what it's all about. I think why we started this kind of a vertical or whatever you want to call it, the study abroad, was to create one-stop shop for A, answering your questions, and B, then get people like Adele who have done it, not some consultant sitting in a room knowing nothing, just saying, "Okay, this will mean this much money, this will mean this much money." Yes, there's a financial kind of burden. That's part of the game. So, but people like Adele being on the call and talking to you, And I think I did not, sorry, I did not attend the earlier part. And Adele, I'm sure that you did talk about one of the ways what we are trying to do. We have an internal service, like a organized way of asking you guys who is interested. And then there's a level of interest, like I'm window shopping. No, I want to buy this today, or I'm scheduled to go in the next 2 years. One help which experts and people who have been on this journey, like Adele, can offer is that they can help you to make a choice. Like I just heard somebody asking, should I do this master's and should I do that? I think the most important part is that what do you have aptitude for? Don't just select that this is not a cafeteria choice, that this is not available, let me do this. If you're desperate enough to go out and just go on something and then figure it out, that's a strategy as well. But having been out there, at least, eh, I will tell you that figure out what kind of is at least in your swim lane, so that you're not here and then are not able to cruise through. I think that research. I guess I would start from, Adele, kind of keep me honest. I would start from the end game, that what do I want to achieve, and then work towards it, rather than just get into a boat and say, where does it go? What do you think, Adele? Like, figure out what exactly you want to do, what you have aptitude for. Are you just going to use it as a transition or a bridge to something else? Or because there are different fields now coming up, which are not purely, if you were to look at them from a perspective of pharma, there is medical informatics, there for pharma informatics, and Adele, where you are, there's a lot happening in that field. And sometimes people don't understand what those fields really mean. They think, do I have to be a coder or programmer? Yes, you can be, but that's not a must to go into those fields. And Adele, what we are doing is we are introducing people to those fields also, like health informatics, medical informatics, which are crossover, so that they understand that they could be part of an industry by doing those. And one thing I want to tell, I'm sure most of you know that getting a master's is not the only way. If you want to go to West, or have a career beyond where you are now. There are different prospects, and especially where we live, where Adele lives, there are a lot of startups which are looking for domain experts. So you could come do some kind of a course which transitions you from a pure pharma at the crossroads of technology and healthcare and go into a different field. So Adele, you want to talk a little about the emerging field of I have a postgrad degree in medical informatics as well. So we are trying to introduce our students to that field. But you're at Stanford, right?
Yeah.
So Stanford is around like 20 miles from where I go to a lot of University Avenue restaurants and all. So one of my favorite campuses is Stanford. So there is a lot of, I don't know, Adele, maybe we need to find, and you are there, to see, are those some of the health informatics or medical informatics open to overseas? Is there a student visa attached? That might be some exercise to do, shift a bit from pure pharmaceutical and pharma world and see, do you have any idea, or you need to do more research in that?
Yeah, so that is what I just mentioned before you were here. So health informatics is in really high demand. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
guy in my previous lab at University of Georgia. So he's basically from Hyderabad, from Sri Venkateshwara College as well. So he did his health informatics in USA, and he worked for a couple of years for Thermo Fisher Scientific. So he was
Mm-hmm.
very successful. The reason he then he wanted to do PhD, then he like joined my course. I mean, he was in my lab there in University of Georgia. So because of him, I know like the importance of health informatics. He has helped a lot in my project, helping in analyzing the sequencing data, and so I know a lot of things he can do. And apart from the wet lab research, he can also do a lot of other stuff, as he was working previously in Thermo Fisher Scientific, and he can go into any other industry. So yeah, health informatics is in high demand. So I think most of the many universities offer this course, but
Mhm.
Stanford, I'm not very sure. I haven't come across anything like that.
So thanks for that. I think for the students on this call, one of the things is what Adele mentioned about the medical informatics. When you say medical informatics and health informatics, it means many things now. It means purely informatics, what Adele was saying. It also means that you could cross over into the EMR world, clinical decision support world, where your expertise or domain expertise can be used to create those things like drug to drug interaction. So you tell them and help them create those algorithms. You could be a coder as well if that is of interest to you. You don't need to be. I mean, that's not a necessary skill to have, but it is a good add on. So let's do this, Adil. I know we are coming on top of the hour. Maybe we should have another session and look at a couple of streams and see. And Dr. Karthik, what I would encourage us as a group to do, let's see based on what our conversation, which I'm sorry I missed a part of it, say what are the three interest areas and then go and address them individually. So, okay, masters in this, and then also research a bit about informatics. What is GW or some other places are offering those masters or postgrad degrees, and come up with specific information that would, I think, be helpful for people who are interested. So, Karthik, let's create out of this, create a feedback and say which areas one is interested in. Then go and have a conversation with Adele, and we can together come up with specific topic of addressing a thing. And Adele, maybe Dr. Karthik, you and I can get together someday and define that this is the journey. This is what is required, IELTS, TOEFL, and all. And then how to go and apply and what is the importance of the essay writing, and then financial aspects of it. I think you as an expert can help to parse through which is a good course and easier to get into, and what does it get you. So course, prospects of job, how easy. If we do just three, I think it will be helpful. I mean, that's my thought. And Dr. Karthik, I know we are on top of the hour, and I think that's where it. I'll let you decide what else you want to do. Thank you, Adil. I really appreciate it. And I always appreciate people who have been in the trenches. It's a different thing than people who have been just a consultant telling how to do. This means a lot.
Thank you so much. It was nice meeting
Always a
you.
pleasure.
And I read about you stay in California, so I was like, oh, maybe he's staying near to my place. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So are you in the city? Where do you live?
I live in Menlo Park.
Okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's South San Francisco. So no worries. So just cross the Dumbarton or
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in Fremont.
So are
Fremont
you on
side.
the
I
Fremont
am in
side?
Fremont. So I used
Oh,
to
okay.
live in
Okay.
Cupertino earlier,
Okay.
and then we moved to Fremont. So we have a lot of family in this kind of 50 miles. So yeah.
Yeah, good to know.
So it would be good to meet. So let's continue this conversation, and I'll let Dr. Karthik to triangulate us together and talk a little about what is how long have you been in the US, Aja?
Since 2017.
So okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things is that we need to kind of triangulate what are the three areas which will be of help to people, and then just go and have a 15-minute or 20-minute conversation, you coming back. And I think, Dr. Karthik, let's have an internal kind of get together a bit and decide how to be of help. And I'm sure you're going to send out a feedback form out of this and see areas where people are more interested and then go with that. And so that we are coming up not with the academic and philosophical discussions that you need to be ready to take the challenge and all. I think the students know that. We need to see this is your journey, these are the parts of it, and address another where you think you have people, like you just said, somebody in Atlanta or Georgia Tech or wherever. So let's get some, and generally people want to talk to people, and let's see if we can involve a few people who have done some streams of this and get them for 10 minutes, not expect them to be kind of doing these lectures or anything. Say, hey, if you want to do this, this is what you need to do. Or we can create that and come back. And I think Dr. Karthik intentionally asked me to come at this time because he knows if I get the microphone, then I don't give it to anybody. So I'll stop at this, and Dr. Karthik, over to you.
So thanks, Dr. Dar, and also Adil. I know it is like very early, maybe 7 o'clock in the morning for you. And thanks all the participants for joining. And Dr. Dar, this is just the beginning, just to introduce them, but we will have more focused and specific sessions, as you mentioned, going forward. Just to get somebody who did in health informatics and just talk about what should somebody to do to get into health informatics. And luckily, we have good network,
Mhm.
and Adil can also connect. So today in his talk, he was mentioning about Varun. He was my 2 or 3 years junior. So before Gokul and Anshuman, he was designing few of the flyers for us. So I was very happy to hear his name from Adil. And I connected few of my students to him, Madhuri, who is doing her PhD. And now Madhuri itself has become a mentor. So recently there was a girl called Akila. So I connected Akila to Madhuri. So we have a good bunch of uh, yes, like people in US who are ready to help all the students. And we will create a feedback form also and share it to understand more of the students' requirement. So that's it, Dr. Dar. And we have streamed this on YouTube. So even people who have missed attending live can watch it on YouTube. And in the description, we included a form. So you can fill that form to get in touch with us.